The Chains of Empire. Part 1. The Fire and the Arena. The sky above Rome burned the color of iron and blood. Smoke rose in great black columns from the eastern quarter, where Emperor Nero's new amphitheater clawed at the heavens like a beast of stone. Beneath its half-finished arches, thousands of slaves labored under the whip, faces streaked with sweat and dust, eyes dulled by exhaustion. Among them was one who did not yet belong to this world of chains. His name was Marcus Valerius, though the name was not his own. It had been given to him by his master, a Roman general who had torn him from his home in Achaia after the war. Once Marcus had been a scholar of philosophy, a man who believed that reason could tame cruelty. Now he was a number in a ledger, a tool to lift stones, a voice ordered only to obey. That morning the sun rose through the haze like a coin dipped in blood. The overseer, a thick man with a scar from temple to jaw, shouted, "Faster, Greeks! Nero wants his glory before Saturn's feast!" Marcus straightened, his back aching as he hoisted another block. He had learned long ago that defiance brought only pain, but something in him, a spark that refused to die, still smoldered. As the hammering of chisels echoed, he looked across the yard to the half-finished colosseum and thought, "This is not a monument to gods, it is a tomb for men like me." That night, when the torches burned low and the guards drank themselves to sleep, Marcus whispered to the slave beside him, a Gaul with eyes like flint, "Have you ever seen Rome burn?" The Gaul spat in the dirt. "I've seen villages burn, temples burn, men burn. Rome never burns. Rome devours." Marcus said nothing, but deep within he remembered a line from the philosophers of his youth: "Empires fall not by the sword, but by the truth they hide." 2 weeks later, Rome trembled with celebration. Nero himself would attend the first private spectacle inside the new amphitheater, a test of blood before its public opening. The rumor among slaves was that the emperor would dedicate the arena to the god Apollo, his divine twin, and watch the gladiators fight as a tribute. Marcus and hundreds of others were herded toward the holding cells beneath the arena, the ludus. There, under the stench of iron and sweat, he learned his new fate, Gladiator. The trainer, a former centurion named Cassian, walked before them with a whip coiled around his wrist. "You are no longer slaves. You are instruments of Rome's pleasure. Fight well, and you will eat. Fight poorly, and the sand will drink your name." The men stared in silence. Marcus met Cassian's eyes, and in that instant the centurion paused. There was something unsettling in the Greek's gaze. It wasn't fear, it was thought. "You," Cassian said, pointing, "what were you before Rome took you?" "A student." "Then you will learn a new lesson, how to die well." The next dawn, the training began. Weeks turned into months. Marcus's body hardened, his mind sharpened. He learned the rhythm of combat, the weight of the gladius, the way a man's breath shifted just before he struck. He was not the strongest, but he was the most deliberate, each move measured like a line of logic. In the pit, he befriended Nero, a former soldier turned slave for desertion. Nero told him of whispers in the barracks, of Nero's madness growing like a disease. "The Senate plots," Nero said in hushed tones. "There are those who would see Nero fall, but speak of it, and the praetorians will flay your tongue." Marcus listened. He asked questions, and slowly a map began to form in his mind of power, corruption, and something deeper, darker. He learned that beneath the marble palaces, Rome was built on secrets. Then one night, the fire came. It began in the merchant quarter, a small spark in a timber shop, they said. But the flame spread with unnatural speed, leaping from roof to roof as if driven by the breath of Vulcan himself. Within hours, half the city was ablaze. The sky turned crimson, the air thick with ash and screams. From the slave barracks, Marcus watched the inferno devour everything. The smell of burning flesh drifted through the streets. Cassian ordered them locked inside the cells. No escapes, no mercy. But when the heat grew too unbearable, the guards fled. Marcus broke free from his chains and led Nero and a handful of others into the smoke. In the chaos, they saw things no man should. Bodies stacked in alleys, mothers wailing, priests praying to gods that did not answer. And through the haze, Marcus caught a sight that froze his soul. Men in imperial armor spreading the fire with torches. "They're burning their own city," Nero gasped. "No," Marcus whispered, "they're burning the truth." And then, as if the gods themselves wished him to see, Marcus caught a glimpse of Nero's private carriage disappearing into the dark, away from the palace, toward the catacombs beneath the Capitoline Hill. That night, Rome burned, but something far greater ignited within Marcus, a purpose forged in flame. He swore, before the gods and the ashes of the innocent, "If the empire lives by lies, I will tear those lies from its heart." The Chains of Empire. Part 2. The Oath of the Gladiator. The morning after the Great Fire, Rome awoke to silence. The markets were gone, the temples blackened, the statues of the gods cracked and hollow-eyed. Ash fell like gray snow, coating the forum in death's calm. From the Palatine Hill, Emperor Nero declared that the blaze had been sent by the gods to cleanse the city, and that he would rebuild it grander than ever, in his own name. But among the common people, whispers spread faster than the fire itself, that Nero had ordered it, that he had stood upon a balcony, playing his lyre, while Rome burned. Marcus heard these whispers as he and Nero stood among the ruins, pretending to search for survivors. What they were really searching for were answers. If the soldiers were spreading the fire, then someone gave the command, Nero said. And if it was Nero, Nero replied, then there's something beneath the ashes worth burning. Days later, Cassian summoned Marcus to the Ludus training ground. "You fought well during the chaos," Cassian said, studying him. "Saved slaves, even a guard. I could have you flogged for breaking ranks. Instead, you'll fight in the Emperor's games." "To celebrate what?" Marcus asked. "The rebirth of Rome." Cassian leaned closer. "If you survive, freedom could be within your reach. The Emperor rewards those who amuse him, even with their defiance." That night, under torchlight, Marcus and the other gladiators swore the oath of the arena, to fight, to endure, to die if commanded, and to honor Rome with blood. But as the words left his lips, Marcus spoke a vow the others could not hear. "I will fight not for Rome, but against the darkness that feeds it." The Games of Nero. The amphitheater roared like a living beast. Tens of thousands filled the stands, senators in purple, merchants in gold, and peasants howling for blood. At the imperial dais sat Nero himself, a pale, handsome man with eyes too bright to be sane. He wore a crown of laurel and a robe of white silk embroidered with suns. When the trumpets blared, the gates opened and the gladiators marched into the light. Marcus felt the heat of the sand beneath his feet. Across from him stood a hulking Thracian, scars crisscrossing his chest. The fight began. Steel rang against steel, dust rising with each strike. The crowd roared as blood hit the sand. Marcus moved like a shadow, calculating, patient. When the Thracian lunged, Marcus sidestepped, driving his blade beneath the man's ribs. The arena erupted in cheers. Nero stood, clapping slowly, eyes gleaming. "A scholar who fights like a poet," he said to his Praetorian guard. "Bring him to me." That evening, Marcus was led to the emperor's private garden, a paradise of marble fountains and perfumed air, far removed from the stench of Rome's suffering. Nero reclined on a couch, playing a golden lyre. "They say you were a student once," he said. "Yes, Caesar." "Do you believe the gods favor the strong or the wise?" "Neither," Marcus replied. "The gods favor those who understand them." Nero laughed, delighted. "A philosopher in chains! Rome should burn more often. It brings such rare creatures to me." He rose, pacing before a bronze statue of Apollo. "You saw the fire, did you not? You saw how easily the old crumbled to make way for the new? That is my gift to Rome, renewal through destruction." Marcus met his gaze. "And those who burned with it?" "Sacrifices," Nero said softly. "Every empire is built on them." For a moment, the two men stood in silence, the emperor and the slave, mirror images of ambition and restraint. Then Nero waved his hand. "You will fight again, philosopher. In the next games, you will face one of my own guards. If you win, freedom will be yours." But as Marcus was escorted out, he caught sight of something strange. A man in a senator's robe, watching from the shadows, speaking quietly to Nero's advisor. His ring bore the emblem of an eagle clutching a serpent. The secret of the eagle. Over the next few weeks, Marcus prepared for the fight. But his mind was not on survival. It was on what he had seen, that emblem. He had glimpsed it once before, carved beneath the arena where only slaves walked, a symbol that predated Nero himself. One night, while the guards slept, Marcus and Nero crept through the tunnels beneath the ludus. They followed the torchlight into the catacombs below the arena, a maze of stone and whispers. There they found a hidden chamber, walls etched with Latin prayers twisted into something darker. At its center stood a marble altar, and upon it the same eagle and serpent sigil. "What is this place?" Nero whispered. "A cult, older than Nero. Perhaps the hand that moves him." Before they could flee, a voice echoed behind them. "You should not be here." Cassian stepped into the light, sword drawn. "You know of this?" Marcus demanded. "I know only what keeps me alive, and you, philosopher, have seen too much." They fought, blades flashing in the torchlight. Cassian was stronger, but Marcus was faster. When it was over, Cassian fell, bleeding, eyes wide. "The eagle watches," he gasped, "and when it strikes, even emperors fall." Then he was gone. Marcus stood trembling, staring at the altar. The eagle watches. Somewhere above, a trumpet sounded. Nero's next games were about to begin, and Marcus Valerius, slave, scholar, and gladiator, was about to fight for his freedom. But freedom was no longer enough. He had seen what lay beneath Rome's marble skin. He would not rest until he tore it open.